Afternoon, and thank you for joining us for this candidate forum hosted by Aging Action Initiative and featuring candidates from San Rafael City Council District 4 and Mayor. This forum is the last of a series of 3 focused on issues and concerns related to older adults in Marin County. The forum is being live streamed on YouTube for public viewing. I am Joe O'Hare, CEO for Whistle Stop, now known as Vibalon, and a founding member of the Aging Action Initiative's Steering Committee. I would like to acknowledge our community outreach partners, Marin Villages, the Marin County Commission on Aging, and Age Friendly Marin. AAI is a collaborative network of over 280 community-based organizations, public agencies, and healthcare professionals working together for the well-being of older people in Marin. AAI offers educational programs for frontline professionals and innovative detect and connect mental health and dementia training and anti-ageist advocacy opportunities. This afternoon's forum is being moderated by the League of Women Voters of Marin County. This year, the League has been celebrating 100 years of following a mission to empower voters and defend democracy. Moderating candidate forums is an important part of their vision of a democracy where every citizen has the desire, the right, the knowledge, and the confidence to participate. The League is strictly nonpartisan organization and never supports or opposes individual candidates or political parties. And now, it's my pleasure to hand over to our moderator, League member, Lori Nardone.
Thank you, Joe. Oops. And sorry. Hi, my name is Lori Nardone, and I'm a member of the League of Women Voters of Marin County and your moderator for this afternoon's forum. Thank you for joining us for this special topic-focused forum featuring candidates for 2 San Rafael races, City Council District 4 and Mayor. Thank you to Aging Action Initiative for inviting the League to host this event. We are honored to be here. Slide 1, please. And thank you to our community outreach partners, Marin County Commission on Aging, Marin Villages, and Age Friendly Marin. Slide 2, please. With me is League member Linda Sula as Timekeeper. Off screen, we have Ann Wakely and Nancy Bell providing Zoom support, along with the team at the Community Media Center of Marin. Thank you. The League is a trusted membership organization that encourages informed and active participation in government. We do not endorse or oppose candidates or political parties. In addition to promoting voter education, the League advocates for issues and may take positions on issues that arise in ballot measures. I would like to remind everyone that the candidates have all agreed to participate under ground rules set for this forum. In order to ensure impartiality, it is the League's policy that candidate forum team members not live in the voting jurisdiction the candidates represent, nor be actively involved in a candidate's campaign. This afternoon's forum is being live streamed on the League's YouTube channel and facilitated through our partnership with the Community Media Center of Marin. The event is also being recorded and will be available on our website at marinlwv.org. For broader community access, a gavel-to-gavel production will be rebroadcast on CMCM TV's Channel 30. Days and times will be posted on our website. I would like to briefly explain the role of the timekeeper. To assure our candidates stay within the allotted time, they will see a box designated clock. At the appropriate time, the box will turn yellow, indicating the candidate has 30 seconds remaining for their response. The box will remain yellow for approximately 10 seconds and will then go black. When the box turns red, the candidate should complete the sentence they're on. This afternoon's questions will focus on issues and concerns related to older adults in Marin County and San Rafael. I will rotate who the first person will be to answer each question. Slide 3, please. There are 3 candidates running for 1 seat on the San Rafael City Council District 4, all of whom are with us this afternoon. John Gamblin, Rachel Kurtz, and Greg Nell. There are 2 candidates running for mayor, both of whom are with us today, Kate Collins and Mahmoud Shirazi. Thank you. The candidates have been invited to make a 1-minute opening statement. After that, the candidates will each have 60 seconds to answer each question. To be fair, I will rotate the order in which they respond to the questions. For opening statements, we'll now begin with John Gamblin. And please unmute yourself.
Thank you very much. For the last 6 years, I've had the great privilege and honor to represent the residents of San Rafael as a member of the City Council. During my tenure, I've served on the Finance, Economic Development, Pension, and Homeless subcommittees, as well as the Countywide Community Development Block Grant Steering Committee, the City, County, and Public Schools Working Group, co-chaired the city's Cannabis Policy Group with Vice Mayor Collin, and I'm a member of the newly formed Phase 2 group focusing on public safety and police. On the personal side, I've been a resident of Marin County on and off since 1979. And for the last 13 years with my wife and family, we have called San Rafael and Terra Linda our home. I have over 30 years of experience in the financial services industry, and I've been actively involved in our community as a youth sports coach and volunteer for many years. San Rafael currently finds itself at a turning point faced with an uncertain economic future, and we must recognize that now is the time to have consistent and steady leadership at the council level. And it is more important than ever to have a city council who can come together with management and staff to implement new and bold strategies, which will guide us through these tough times. I'm that candidate who will work with you to get it done, and I'm honored to have the support and endorsement of all of my colleagues, Councilmember McCullough, Councilmember Bushy.
Thank you. Sorry, John. Sorry, I have to cut you off.
That was on my last sentence, so I was trying to stop. Okay. I didn't finish my last sentence.
Rachel, if you could unmute and have your opening statement.
Thank you. I'm Rachel Kurtz. I'm a 21-year resident of San Rafael. I grew up in Napa. I graduated from UC Santa Cruz, and then I got my MBA at San Francisco State University. I and many of my peers are the sandwich generation. My kids are 18 and 21 in college and living away from home, at least for the moment. And my parents are in their 80s living in Napa at home I grew up in and wanting to stay in their home. I follow 5 emergency updates for everyone's area. Helping my parents to stay in their home, I understand the challenges and fears they face every day. Since living in San Rafael, I have been deeply engaged in the community through my volunteer work at Miller Creek School District, Terra Linda, and through the synagogue and helping out in the baseball field. More formally, everyone knows, I'm a trustee, a 2-term trustee on the San Rafael School Board. I'm also a member of the Ocean Marin JCC, active member of the Marin Organizing Committee. I am committed to San Rafael and working with the community, managing through the pandemic while celebrating and strengthening our neighborhoods. The most important thing to me is listening to people, hearing personal stories, and then working together to develop solutions.
Thank you. Thank you. Sorry. I know 1 minute goes by really fast. Greg, would you like to unmute yourself? You are ready to go.
Hi, my name is Greg Nell. I'm just finishing up my 4th term on the San Rafael School Board. I'm trustee of the year, and I serve as delegate for all Marin trustees in Sacramento at the California School Boards Association, elected by all the trustees for schools in Marin. I'm caring right now for my 96-year-old mother who is disabled, but aging in place at home. So I'm very familiar with hands-on experience for what that takes. And I have an extensive telecom platform that you can see on my website because the abuse of our elders and the attempted fraud is nonstop morning to night. I've been an advocate for North San Rafael for 30 years. On the original North San Rafael vision, negotiated the first city neighborhood partnership with Recreate the Creek, which landscaped the whole median on Del Ganado. And I'm still on the committee finishing the promenade in North San Rafael.
Thank you, Greg.
Thank you.
Okay, Kate, would you like to unmute yourself, please? Thank you.
Thank you for hosting this event. I am not new to the council and I have a deep understanding of the local issues. and I'm campaigning on my track record from the past 7 years. Since joining the council in 2013, I've demonstrated my ability to listen, to engage with our residents, and to get things done. This is the type of proven leadership that is needed now as we face COVID. As the next mayor of San Rafael, I'll continue to address issues that are San Rafael specific, as well as working with surrounding cities on the broader issues. My priorities include economic recovery, homelessness, housing, climate impacts, and the city's financial stability. In addition, I'll address those sometimes unseen but very important issues of equity and racial justice. I've received all the endorsements given by local organizations, in addition to awesome folks like Congressman Huffman and my next door neighbors. And this also includes the San Rafael Chamber of Commerce. In closing, I hope to do what has never been done before and become the first female mayor of San Rafael.
Thank you. Mahmoud, would you like to unmute and do your opening? Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Mahmoud Shirazi, and I'm an official candidate for mayoral office race, San Rafael, California, November 3rd, 2020. I am from the community of a small business and currently operate a small shop called Mini Market Store on downtown area of B Street. I have been living in Marin County for the last 42 years, and I have been involved with several businesses throughout, and I would love to have the support of the community so I can bring new ideas and a good leadership that we need now. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, for our first question, we will start the rotation with Rachel. And the first question is, in a recent survey of older adults in Marin, climate change and emergency preparedness were listed as primary concerns. What do you plan to do to help older residents in San Rafael be ready? And I can repeat that question for anyone else along the way.
So as my day job, I am the coordinator for Central Marin neighborhood response groups. So I have 43 NRGs that I work with. And many of our residents in the Central Marin area obviously are seniors and are aging. We know at least 1 in 4 of our residents in Marin County are in over 60. So for emergency preparedness and obviously climate change, right now we're very focused on wildfires. We also do a lot of preparation for floods and all the other areas. So the work that we're doing is we're tying in with Ellen Baxter for Detect and Connect, or Connect and Detect training. And we're going to be working on how to train our block captains on how to work with seniors who may be facing dementia or mental health issues in our vulnerable community. So emergency preparedness is absolutely top of list in terms of preparing, but also establishing a strong neighbor-to-neighbor network.
Thank you. Greg, do you want to unmute and answer that one?
Sure. Well, climate change and sea level rise are probably the most critical long-range issue we face after COVID when we get through this crisis right now. San Rafael actually turns out to be one of the 2 most vulnerable communities in the Bay Area for sea level rise. And I want to commend Corey Bidoff, who I've worked with since he came to work for the city, for the incredible work that he's done and the city has done in planning for sea level rise and the challenges of climate change. The city's been a leader in neighborhood resiliency efforts, and I would support continuing those efforts, of course. But we need to continue our work specifically in the wildfire area, most importantly for climate change right now. I was on the steering committee for Measure C, which created the Wildfire Authority. I ran.
I'm going to have to stop you there. I'm sorry. I'm going to have to.
Fine. Stop.
You can work it into another answer.
Yeah.
Kate, you want to unmute yourself and answer?
Thank you. So I have been the liaison and the council representative on our efforts to become an age-friendly city. And when we saw the fires that happened up in the North Bay last year, I realized that an additional domain needed to be added to the traditional plan, and that is the domain of disaster preparedness. We have added that to the city's plan. It was important that we recognize that older folks who live alone might have other needs and support that weren't being addressed by the original domains. And I agree, community resilience is the answer. The city can do a lot, but it's really having neighbors being able to support each other. That those programs, the CERP program, Resilient Neighborhoods, Firewise, those are all mechanisms to bring communities together, neighbors to the table, to one, support each other and to do what they need to do in order to stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you. Mahmoud, would you like to answer? Unmute yourself. Yep.
I am running to bring the community together. So the aging group is part of a program that I have for people that they are unable to take care of themselves and they need extra care. I will put enough funds for the housing basically and the care that they need to have. I'm currently helping older people or people that they don't have enough energy basically to go and shop for themselves. And I'm delivering food through a program that Uber Eats has through the contactless drop at their doorstep. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and then John, would you like to unmute yourself and answer that one? Or do you need me to repeat it?
No, I'm good. Thank you very much. You know, climate change and disaster preparedness are obviously the top priority for all of us. We live in a community right in a wildlife urban interface where the next fire could happen right here. And in an aging community that we have in Marin, we need to make sure that the information is received by everyone. And it needs to come in formats that everyone can have accessibility to. So I'm a strong proponent of not just one form of information, but multiple forms of information. Participating in neighborhoods, looking out for each other, getting that information out via the internet, direct mail, phones, whatever it takes to make sure that people are informed to how to prepare for the next potential catastrophe that could come our way. It's only a matter of time and we need to be on top of that. So I fully support all the activities that the city has done. We need to do more and we will continue to do more. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, for our second question, we're going to start with Greg. And the question is, in addition to climate change and emergency preparedness, what are other top issues facing older adults, especially older adults with disabilities in San Rafael? And how should the city council address them? I'm sorry, you need to unmute yourself. I bet.
Got to remember to do that. Well, you know, our demographics are show our population. In fact, the majority of our voters are over 55 years of age, and our fastest growing demographic is 80 plus. So I think the city council should be very involved in senior issues. As a matter of fact, I think it should be a priority, like the county has their senior commission and the city has a committee working on senior issues right now. But I would be completely supportive of all of the initiatives, the suggestions from Aging in Action specifically that they just reported to the city council. And I think I would support utilizing any resources that we have available to support those initiatives, to protect and to support transportation initiatives and housing protections for our senior citizens.
Thank you. Kate, would you like to unmute yourself and answer that question?
So we know from the data that one of the killers of older population is isolation and loneliness, that the health outcomes from those two things is huge. So what can we do as a city? We can enable people to connect with each other. When the COVID impact hit in mid-March, I worked with neighborhood leaders to create the Neighbor to Neighbor toolkit that was designed specifically to have neighbors learn how to reach out to each other, especially the seniors that were older and might not have the access to technology, might not be able to get to grocery stores. In addition, I oversaw a program where we called, including myself, our senior citizens who were 90 plus years of age and just checked in and said, hey, how are you? We actually took city time and city staff to make that connection. And finally, for our update of our General Plan 2040, I advocated and ensured that there was a representative in the group that could speak to these issues. It was a woman from San Rafael Villages.
Great, thank you. Mahmoud, would you like to answer that question?
I fully support the AAI activities so far, and when I have a chance, I will basically put enough housing for the seniors and the housing development basically that will serve their purpose. And every community should have a group that they can report to, or they can basically call up and see how they are doing actually, and get connected basically with each other and with the authorities is the way we can take care of our older people.
That's me. Thank you. Okay, and then John, do you want to unmute and answer? Thank you.
Great, and thank you, Lori. Great question. I think that the transportation and accessibility and active involvement within our senior community is a top priority and needs to remain a top priority for the city going forward. I would propose working with groups like the Aging in Action group and other senior advocacy groups to prioritize the needs of our experienced, constituents. I like to use that a little bit more than seniors because we can learn a lot from them. So I would encourage all of us to participate in that way. And as a member of the City Council, we've done a great job and we'll continue to do a great job. But there's plenty more that we can do. So I'm looking forward to the next 4 years of helping to do that. Thank you.
Thank you. And Rachel, you want to unmute and answer that?
Thank you. The issues facing the senior population today, us outside of emergency preparedness and climate change, really are issues facing everyone in our community. Health, economic security, housing, and transportation. When I've been participating on Marin Organizing Committee, we've heard direct stories from people, both seniors who have their own personal stories, as well as family members trying to help their family, help their parents. And there are a number of items that we need to work on and focus on through collaborative effort with our partners in this area. It's a lot, it's work that needs to be done, and it does need to be prioritized. As we know, our community has a number of seniors. I'm not a senior yet, but I am really invested to make sure that as the years go on, that I'm going to have the right resources. So I want to make sure that we do have the supports and the resources available for our seniors today and in the future.
Thank you. Okay, so for our next question, we'll start with Kate with this one. If you are elected, how will you support implementation of San Rafael's age-friendly plan? And can you unmute yourself?
I'm a big supporter. I have been the advocate for the age-friendly initiative on the City Council. And it was when I was reached out to by San Rafael Villages, the Marin County Commission on Aging, and the Age-Friendly Task Force approached me because they knew that I am all about collaboration and inclusivity. So where we are, we started the process, with the pandemic and everything else, it's put slowed it down a little bit, but I have been a vocal and strong supporter since the beginning. We will continue to ensure that the policies that we have reflect the needs, the desires, and the input of our older adults. I am committed to that, and my work record over the last 7 years has shown I can do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Mahmoud, you want to, yep.
I haven't had a chance to work with a senior group or any group personally, but when I get in, I will make sure that everything that it needs to be done will be done as a priority, and our age group people will get enough attention that they need to have, and I will provide that situation as soon as I get in. Thank you.
Thank you. John, you want to unmute yourself? You are back. Yeah.
There we go. Thank you very much. You know, as a member of the council for the last 6 years, I've had the great privilege of working alongside Vice Mayor Collin, and we all take different positions and different leadership roles on the council. And while I might not be as experienced on this topic as Vice Mayor Collin, I rely on her and I trust her, trust her information that she provides to the council, and I fully support the age-friendly initiative that we've been working on. And as she mentioned, it's tough in the time of COVID. It's tough when we're holding meetings on Zoom that we don't get to interact with these communities. And when we get through this pandemic as a community, that is a huge priority for all of us on the council. I can speak for myself as well as the other members. This is important to us. It is a priority. And when we're back able to do things back to a new norm, we're going to put every resource we have available to address this. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Rachel, you want to unmute and answer that question?
Right, thank you. It is so great to actually have a plan, because many times you want to, do work, but you don't have a plan. And this actually sets out a framework for us to work from. So the first thing we need to do with this plan is let's identify the real priorities that we can achieve. And we can't wait for the pandemic to be over. It's not like it's going to be, there's a clock and we know it's going to be ticking down. We don't know if it's 8, 12, 24, 36 months. We need to work now. I am shocked and very pleased by the level of participation from the full community at every age level using Zoom. You got it. So we can do the work now, and we need to start those conversations now, and start because we can't wait. The population's only aging. So we need to make sure we start addressing these priorities and figuring out what we can do today, and start working.
Thank you. And Greg, you want to unmute and answer that question?
Yeah, well, my last answer, I spoke to how I completely support and put city resources behind the age-friendly plan. Now I'd like to focus on one of the issues that's most important in there, and that's housing insecurity. I would work in Sacramento to give us housing credit for our senior housing slots. Right now, they're not included in the housing formula, but they're very important for two things, having a secure place, staying in Marin to live, and also freeing up the current empty nest. So there's homes for other working people in our community. So I support senior housing. I also support protecting our R1 zoning, which is under attack in Sacramento. Your biggest asset is the home that you own. And people are trying to solve the housing crisis, not by just making affordable housing, but by destroying R1 zoning, which is the middle class's single greatest asset in most cases.
Thank you. Okay, we'll start the next question with Mahmoud. The question is, many older adults need to augment their Social Security with other income. How would you work with the business and merchant community to promote the hiring of San Rafael's older adults?
One of the promises I have is to bring citywide sales to the city of San Rafael, and I'm going to include the older people and disadvantaged people. And those are the priorities basically for any business to get write-off and to have a better bottom line and help these people to get their life going and continue going the way they have been doing and help the society as much as they can. There are really good workers in that group age.
Okay, thank you. John, you want to unmute and answer that question next?
Thank you, Lori. Experience is something that is earned but not given, and we have a large experienced workforce out there looking for opportunities to, as you said, to expand their income potential. Those living on fixed incomes would love the opportunity to add a little bit to that pocketbook. And we have the opportunities within the city. We need to do a better job of connecting those looking for work with this experience with those employers that are looking to hire folks. Too often we hear from employers there's not enough good workers out there to fill these positions, or they don't have the available times that we need. These folks that are on a fixed income, they're living on Social Security and in need of extra funds, they have that flexibility and they have that time. We need to come together and bring the employers and the potential employees to put them all in the same room and get them working again. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Rachel, do you want to unmute and answer that?
This is a great problem to have. Because we have a number of experienced people, as John had mentioned. And one example that I have is that I have a neighbor who decided the school districts need substitute teachers. And she obviously wasn't going to be able to go back in the classroom and didn't want to go back in the classroom, but was able to substitute. And at $22 an hour, she said, that is great. I can do that. I know how to use Zoom and I love being with the kids. So that's really important. So there are opportunities out there. We need to look for the employers who will match these, and the world we're in right now, and will probably be for the future as well, will be more online. So I think we have opportunities here for many people who need to supplement their income to do some additional types of work. And those will be carved out now, and we need to look to that and use that as a very viable, active pool of workers.
Thank you. Greg, do you want to unmute yourself and answer that?
Yes. Me and Mahmoud are the only small business owners in this current group. So we actually have the experience of hiring employees and creating jobs. Most jobs are created in small business. I'm a 37-year consecutive dues-paying member of the San Rafael Chamber of Commerce, and they've always endorsed me in all my races. And I believe in using that small business community to do this. There's always a lot of pressure to volunteer, but it's so expensive to live in Marin. We should be providing jobs, part-time jobs that provide actual income. Rachel has a great suggestion because we are in great need of substitutes at the school district. It's actually a crisis. But we have so many small businesses, which are the engine here in Marin. And I believe we can work through our Chamber of Commerce for a specific program just like this.
Thank you very much. And Kate, do you want to unmute yourself and answer that?
Yes, so San Rafael Chamber of Commerce would be a partner in this conversation for sure. And as I mentioned, they've endorsed both me and Council Member John Gamblin. They understand that we have the skill set for these types of conversations. And it is about the conversation. So what are the barriers? Are there current barriers to older folks entering the workforce? We can't assume that we know the answer. We can't assume because of our own lived experience that we have all the answers. We actually need to get in dialogue with the community. So I would get in dialogue with the Chamber, San Rafael Villages, Vivillon, Whistle Stop, the YWCA. They actually have a program that's aimed at older women getting back in the workforce. We have these expertise. And finally, I would talk to people who want to get hired. Again, I'm never going to assume that I know what it is people want. I will get in dialogue. We'll start having conversations, connecting and facilitating those connections. I look forward to making that happen.
Thank you. Okay, for our next question, we will start with John. And the question is, 2 housing questions. How would you help seniors who rent when the eviction prohibitions end? And what will you support so that there are enough housing options for people as they grow older in San Rafael? And can you unmute? Thank you.
Thanks, Lori. I don't think I can even reach this subject in less than a minute here, but I'll try my best. The eviction moratorium obviously is critical. It's keeping the folks in their homes in this very stressful time, but that will come to an end. We need to be active now. As Rachel said earlier, we can't wait. We don't know when COVID's going to be over. It could go on for a long time, but the eviction moratorium is going to stop at some point, and we can't wait to do that. So we're working right now with other providers, Canal Alliance, Community Action Marin, legal aid of Marin to put forth policies and procedures to help these renters in terms of additional places to stay in their homes, our JDU policy, our ADU policy that we've implemented in the city to not only keep them at home, but to keep additional income coming in. We need to really push that out because we put forth the policy, but it hasn't really been active that much. We haven't gotten a lot of participation in that. And we really need to market that a little bit more because that's a way for them to continue in their home and then get additional funds. Thank you. Sorry.
Thank you. That's okay. Rachel, do you want to unmute and answer that? Yes, in a minute. I know.
Right, thank you. So yes, we absolutely need to look at more affordable rental housing for older people and for service providers, for those who have caregivers as well. So we need to have that available. We need to look at some new models. In Santa Cruz, I've seen some models where there's community type of housing and shared type of housing. It's not going to be right for everyone, but there are different models that we need to look at to see what we can do to support our community. Similar to the village models, lots of different things that there are things that we can consider that are working well in other areas. We need to be very serious about our financing measures so that there is incentive to do the ADUs and the JDUs and incentives for that, and retrofits to make homes safe. So there's lots of areas within the housing conversation that we need to take into consideration to support our seniors who want to be able and are able to stay at home.
Thank you. Greg, would you like to unmute yourself? Thank you.
Yes. Well, I'm the only person that has really actually made progress in this area, in that I built my own ADU legally through the city, and I offered it up after being asked as becoming the model home for the city of San Rafael's program to expand the in-law unit ADU numbers to meet our housing quota. As I said before, I would campaign to include senior housing units in the housing quota. That would make a big difference in stimulating growth there. But the main thing is just to add affordable housing in general to our stock. And in our proposal for the new Northgate Mall, we're including 210 units. And I was on the committee that negotiated the traffic study out of the previous owner of the mall, which verified that we can put 210 units of affordable housing in the Northgate Mall. So, but that's the example of actual things that I have done. I got the only rate decrease in the history of the Marin Municipal Water District, cutting in half the water bill for ADUs.
Thank you. Kate, would you like to unmute yourself and answer that?
Yeah, just to clarify, the state is actually setting the policy regarding eviction moratoriums. And what they've said is that counties and cities need to follow that, and they're not actually able to expand upon them. So we are really in reactive mode for that. The city actually has donated to Legal Aid of Marin, all the cities and towns. Great, beautiful example of a cross-jurisdictional coming together to provide money to Legal Aid of Marin that can provide expertise to people facing evictions. And to be clear, the council has been pro-housing for ever since I've been on it, and it's an issue of what gets built. We actually, the ADUs and JDUs, we were ahead of the state in the policies that we set for that. So we were having those conversations prior to it going to the state. We've been a very incredibly progressive city that way, and I'm proud of that. We do need to have our senior units taken into account of our overall units. Those are quality units, and when people move into them, they free up single family housing. Finally, last night, I'm sure all of you were glued to your screen watching a San Rafael meeting. We utilized in lieu fees to provide whistle stop. Sorry, that was the last plug. Sorry. I'll get it in the next one.
Mahmoud, would you want to unmute yourself and answer?
I would like to put a program together to get the compatible citizens together so they can share a space. It may not work for everybody, but when we find the compatibility, we can put these people together, and it worked very well. And basically in Northgate area, which I find quite a few space that we can build senior housing with a design for housing for seniors basically, and so they can live comfortably in the very nice, quiet areas of the North Bay.
Thank you. Okay, our next question, Rachel will be the first one to answer. And the question is, how would you address problems related to aging in place at home, such as lack of resources, services, or energy to have necessary engagement, caregiving, and home maintenance? And yeah.
That's a hefty question.
It's a lot of-
That's a lot in there. So I think really the answer is, in terms of, with the complexity of that question, is making sure those that are at home know how to access the resources. Because in all of those areas that you mentioned, there are agencies and there are community resources, and it is a collaboration of working together. But I know in many cases, people don't know how to reach out and to get those services. So I do think we need to be more proactive in terms of reaching out. And I've seen it through San Rafael, and I've seen it through Corte Madera, where we're calling the residents and saying, what do you need? What can you help with? We've seen it with Good Ferry, right? We've seen them, as soon as somebody asks the question, we can respond to it, because we are this very, very engaged, healthy, vibrant community that wants to help our community and wants to help our citizens. And so, but we do need to be able to make those connections. And sometimes that is what is missing, is helping to make that connection.
Thank you. And Greg, would you like to unmute yourself and answer that?
Yes, well, as I said, I'm directly involved with the aging in place issues with my 96-year-old mother still at home in Peacock Gap, right here in San Rafael. And a couple things come to mind. First of all, Whistle Stop is an incredible resource. And we were able to obtain roommates for my mother through Whistle Stop. We're now on our third roommate, but the elderly roommate program of Whistle Stop is really invaluable in sharing the costs of aging in place. The other thing that's really critical are the predators that are constantly besieging my mother, knocking on the door, phoning, mailing, with all of these crazy, wild schemes to separate her from her Social Security number and her money. And I really would like to see more enforcement against this and pressure on the telecoms. It's in my telecom policy that these people that make all this money off of us should be responsible for the frauds perpetrated over their phone lines.
Thank you. Completely agree. Kate, would you like to unmute and answer? Yeah.
So the way that cities are funded, the way that San Rafael is funded, we provide pothole repair, traffic lights, library, first responders. So I want to be absolutely clear. We don't have a Health and Human Services department. Literally, the Marin County has hundreds of employees. We have zero. And I bring that up because I want to be realistic about what it is the city can do. And what the city can do is to work hand in hand with all of the agencies that are doing this great work. And to Rachel's point, to get the word out. The resources are here. We're in a very affluent community, but how do people connect with those programs that are out there? We need to link people there. We have community partners that we can reach out to. And a perfect one is Whistle Stop Vivalon. And they have the new campus that they're building that's going to have 67 units of senior housing. In addition to the housing, they'll have programming. Those are the types of projects we need here in San Rafael.
Thank you. Mahmoud, do you want to unmute? Yep.
The reason I'm in this race is because it's the communication between me and the community. I want to know what community is doing, and I like the community to come and find out what is happening at the city council. That way we can get things done no matter what it is. We have to know from each other's sides. If you tell us what we need to do, we study it, we research it, and we put it into work. So we have a vibrant community that works well. We don't want a quiet city council. We don't want a quiet community. We want everybody to get involved, because this is a time to change. And this is the good opportunity for me to come in and take your hand and you take my hand, and then we'll accomplish as much as we can. Thank you.
Thank you. And then John, do you want to unmute and answer that question?
Great, thank you. One of the great things about going last is you get to hear all these other great answers, and you can just sit back and say, yeah, I agree with all of them, because everybody has really taken this to heart, and we need to put this at the forefront of everything. In college, you could go to an Odmonson for all your needs, and they could direct you to where we go. I don't know if there's a role like that in the county, but as Kate said, the city doesn't have the resources, and we don't have a health and human services department to put this together. But that could be something that could be done, that could take a single point of contact. People don't need to search for these resources. They can call one place and get put in touch with them. But I want to tag on to what Kate said at the end of her last answer. The city put together an affordable housing trust fund, and we've gotten resources in there through the buyout at Loch Lomond recently. And last night in our council meeting, we allocated $800,000 to the Whistle Stop development program out of that affordable housing trust fund. These are the things that the city has been doing, and that I'm proud to be a part of, to actually do actionable items for the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. It's our last question coming up here. And Greg, you are the first person for me to ask that to. So the last question is, how will you ensure that the input of older people in San Rafael is sought and included in your town's planning, policies, and programs?
Well, what I can be responsible for is myself, but I plan to listen like I have with our Santa Margarita Neighborhood Association, and through just talking to neighbors. I mean, I will listen to the average person. Now, we do have, a city committee, and I know my colleague, Linda Jackson, is on that committee. And, even though we don't have a senior services like the county, the city is very, very in tune with the needs of our senior citizens, because they're such a big part of our community. And so I will seek out the average person and ask them what they think. And it's really amazing the suggestions you get from doing that. So that's how I would meet that challenge. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Kate, would you like to unmute? Yep.
I have 3 examples of how I've already done that, and it's what I bring to the position of mayor, and I'll continue to do. I didn't need to wait till campaign seasons to start doing this. As I mentioned, the Neighbor to Neighbor Toolkit, after that was created, I purposely reached out and got the input of the folks who've been working on our age-friendly city. They had great comments that we incorporated into the toolkit. Secondly, the General Plan 2040, we had different people representing different communities, advocated for getting someone to represent that viewpoint. And by the way, when I started advocating for it, they said, oh, we already have too many people on the committee. No, I was like, nope, we're adding one more, which we did. And finally, it's also the wonderful, amazing things like the birthday party that I went to back, I think it was in February, for our older adult, 90-plus-year-old. We had it at B Street. We had cake and just walking around the room and having conversation. I look forward to more of these conversations. This is why I do this role. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Mahmoud, would you like to unmute? Yeah.
I would make a very affordable mailing, making a questionnaire and send it to the demographic that we have on record. So I need to know what their answers would be, and we gather all those answers and we bring it to the city council and we work on it and we vote on it, and we just get things done the way they ask us and the way that we have capability to do it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
John?
Great, thank you. One of the great things about living in Marin County for the last 40 years is being able to participate in a community where we have a very, very active and engaged senior component. We are not lacking from input from this demographic at all. On the city council, I believe they are the most actively involved when it comes to all the things that are going on in the city. We receive input and we will continue to do that. And we will continue to reach out to them because they've been here, they know what's going on. Their input is invaluable to the decision-making process. So I would say that, you know, we're going to continue to reach out. We need to make the effort, but I'm really, really proud to live in a community where that input from that demographic is the experienced demographic in our neighborhoods is really valued, and will continue to be. Thank you.
Thank you. And then Rachel, you want to unmute and answer that. Thank you.
Great, thank you. As John said, there's no lack of people to contribute to this conversation, but we need to be intentional. And that's the work that I've done on the Marin Organizing Committee, is developing these conversations and relationships and hearing directly from people, hundreds of people in what we call house meetings. Through my work as president of the Marin San Rafael Park Neighborhood Association, likewise, our community here is very much many seniors living in their homes. So we hear lots of stories and concerns. It's not, when you're working, whether it's a school board or the city council, it is us, all of us working together. I am the first one who will take personal accountability and responsibility for something that goes wrong. But when we achieve success, it's all of us working together. And this is an area through active participation and encouraging the community's input, we will get lots of great input from our seniors and those who have not been asked before.
Thank you. Thank you to all of you. This concludes the question portion of the forum. And before the candidates make their closing statements, I would like to share some key aspects of this year's election, particularly in regards to how and when you can vote. We're very fortunate to have an outstanding elections department in Marin, headed up by Registrar of Voters Linda Roberts. The League wants to assure all Marin voters that this election and the counting of ballots is being conducted with the highest level of security, honesty, and integrity. November 3rd is Election Day. You have until October 19th to register, after which time you will have to go to the elections office to register and vote in person. Due to COVID-19, the state of California has implemented new, broader voting opportunities in order to promote public safety, providing expanded vote-by-mail options, as well as in-person voting. Slide 4, please. Voting by mail will be the safest way to vote during this pandemic and to avoid lines at the polling places. Vote by mail ballots were mailed out yesterday. All active registered voters in Marin County will automatically receive a ballot in the mail. There is no need to request one. You can start voting by mail today, October 6th, by dropping off your completed ballots in 3 ways: at any one of 12 secure drop boxes located around the county, at the elections office in the Civic Center, or at a US post office. To be counted, returned ballots must be postmarked no later than November 3rd and received at the election office no later than November 20th. And please note that Marin County pays the postage for all returned ballots. Slide 5, please. For in-person voting, there will be fewer polling places for this election as a result of recent legislation. Voters choosing to vote in person will be assigned to a polling place that might be different from past elections. Your assigned polling place will be printed on the back cover of the voter information guide that you receive in the mail. Polling places will be open for 4 days, October 31st through November 3rd. There will be 29 consolidated polling places, and your ballot will indicate your assigned polling location. You can vote at the elections department in the Civic Center starting October 6th during regular business hours. Masks and social distancing protocols will be required at all polling places, and a limited number of people at any one time will be allowed in the polling place. All voters should make a safe voting plan now so that they are prepared when their ballot arrives. For more information about Dropbox and polling locations, you can go to marinvotes.org. Thank you. At the end of this forum, there will be a slide listing several additional websites that we recommend. Sites you may check out for more detailed election information, including votersedge.org. And now the candidates will make closing statements of 1 minute. We will go in reverse order of the opening statements. So we'll start with Mahmoud Shirazi, and you can unmute.
I appreciate the opportunity for inviting me for this forum. I hope I have given you enough insight about what I'm all about and what I'm going to do for the community. I am coming into this race to give the community of San Rafael a choice and a chance. And I wanted you to have a candidate that wants to be a little bit different and proactive and get into action and show the city that the city that deserves more than it gets a beautiful side of a growth. I appreciate your vote. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Kate, you want to unmute?
So I am the right person at the right time to become San Rafael's next mayor, and its first female one in 150 years, because of my experience and proven ability to get things done. When I first became a public servant was in 1999 when I joined my first city board. My kids were 2 and 4 years old. Now one has graduated from college and the other is in their final year. I've been doing this because I care deeply about our community. What compels me to work so hard is I know we can make our city better, cleaner, and more equitable, which we actually didn't talk about equity today. But as I make the step from vice mayor to mayor, I have the support and endorsement of neighbors, friends, businesses, and civic and business leaders. I care deeply about our city, and I'll continue to work hard for you in the years to come. And for the topics we didn't get to, you can visit my website, www.katecollinssanrafael.com. Thank you for providing the forum today.
Thank you. Greg, would you like to unmute?
Yes, the issue in this election is leadership. What we need is people that have ideas and the record to actually accomplish things. I have a plan to rebuild the economy that's been hurt by the COVID. I have a plan and a strategy for protecting our R1 zoning and our home's value as members of the middle class. And Kate and I share that leadership track record, and that's why we have the endorsements of all the major groups in this town: police, fire, labor, building trades, firefighters, and the Democratic Party have all endorsed Kate and I because they see our record of leadership, and that's what these times call for. They're challenging times, and we must have leadership at the top, creative, fearless, and with answers for these problems. You can't just be listening all the time. It's important to take action. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Rachel, would you like to unmute?
Thank you. And thank you for this evening. If one area of our community is struggling, every corner of our community is struggling. I have worked tirelessly on the school board and made significant changes in terms of work in addressing the problems facing our community. We need people at every level of government and decision-making who are willing to put our community first, and that's me. Willing to focus on our residents and strengthen our neighborhoods. I'm excited to be endorsed by Vice Mayor Kate Collin and fellow trustee Natutu Atagaloa and the Marin Women's PAC. They know that I'm the right person to work collaboratively with the team to get the work done. I'm currently in my second term on the school board, and I get asked, why am I running for city council? And the answer is because there's a lot of work to be done. I had always intended to do a 2-term because at that point, my kids would be out of the district, and it's the right spot for somebody to be in that spot to make decisions who have kids in the district. I'm a true grassroots candidate who has the support of the community because they know I'm honest, trustworthy, and I deliver on my word. Thank you.
Thank you. And John, unmute.
Great. I would like to thank the Aging Action Initiative and the League of Women Voters for hosting this afternoon. You know, with less than 30 days left until election date, you know, the next few weeks are going to be very exciting to say the least. And I really look forward to speaking with, talking to, listening to all the residents of the newly formed District 4 about the issues that are most important to all of us. I hope you will join me and the mayor, the vice mayor, my fellow council members, Mayor Borough, the San Rafael Chamber of Commerce, the Marin Builders Association, the North Bay Leadership Council, and numerous others in supporting my campaign for re-election to the San Rafael City Council. I mean, if you would like to contact me, you can feel free to do so directly at my website at johngamblin.com. Send me a message, give me a call. I'm always open to talk. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, this concludes our forum. Again, we would like to thank our community outreach partners, Marin Community Commission on Aging, Age Friendly Marin, and Marin Villages. Thanks to the candidates for participating, to Linda Sula for timekeeping, and to Nancy Bell and Ann Wakely for Zoom support. And special thanks to the team at CMCM TV. We could not have done this without them. A video of tonight's forum will be posted on the League's website in the next few days. Slide 6, please. For more information about the election, the candidates, and ballot measures, visit the League's website at marinlwv.org and click on the Voter's Edge logo in the middle of the page. Here are some additional recommended websites. Thank you. Thank you again for joining us tonight, and most importantly, for voting.